What's up, everybody? It's Priyonshoni. So in our last video, we were taking a look at the DJM 750 Mark II 4-channel mixer from Pioneer DJ. This is the second video of a two-part series where we explore the alternative to the Nexus line of products. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the XDJ 1000 Mark II media player. But first, a word from our sponsor, Direct Music Service. DMS is an online database for working DJs and mix artists. It's the one-stop shop where you can get your music from for your gigs. It's a searchable, organized database with thousands of edits, remixes, and different versions of your favorite tracks from many different genres. What's also awesome about Direct Music Service, if you're always on the road just like me, they have this awesome mobile app so that you could search your favorite tunes, put them on a wish list, and they'll be ready for you on your Dropbox folder when you get home. You can now save some money and get a discount using one of these two coupon codes. Use the code PJMonthly and get 30% off your first month off any monthly subscription. Use the coupon code PJYearly and get 10% off your entire first year of any yearly subscription. Go to directmusicservice.com today to sign up. So Pioneer DJ has always had specific features in the media players that distinguishes how each model fits in the lineup. The flagship models, like the CDJ 2000 Nexus 2 and the CDJ Tour 1, feature dedicated hotkey buttons. The secondary professional and mid-level models, which also feature the full-size jog wheel, like the CDJ 900 Nexus and the CDJ 850, would be featured with the dedicated auto loop buttons. And then you would have the entry-level media players that are smaller, like the CDJ 350. Well, things kind of changed when the original XDJ 1000 was introduced. It was a mid-level price media player with a touchscreen that featured functions that gave you the best of both worlds and then some. The reason why the original XDJ 1000 was labeled an XDJ instead of a CDJ was because it was the first model not to feature the optical CD drive. Now, it might be a little confusing because the XDJ 1000 also shares its model lineup name, XDJ, with the all-in-one systems. But for all intents and purposes, anything that's an XDJ is basically any device that could play music standalone or as a controller. And that means either a single media player deck or a full-on single unit 2-deck mixer platform. So when the original XDJ 1000 was introduced, it had several new features that wasn't even available on the flagship model during the time, which was the CDJ 2000 Nexus. It was Pioneer DJ's first media player with a 7-inch touchscreen LCD. Because of the touchscreen, the layout of the XDJ 1000 was very minimalistic. Many of the functions that used dedicated buttons were now in the touchscreen. The Mark II actually retains this minimalistic look. That's why it has a clean and uncluttered look. Along with the touchscreen, your browsing is now enhanced because there is now a QWERTY keyboard to do your searches for music. So as we discussed earlier, the dedicated hotkey buttons and the dedicated auto loop buttons used to be what separated the flagship models from the secondary professional and mid-level models. That distinction actually dates back to the time of the original CDJ 1000, which was the first media player to feature hot cues, along with the CDJ 800, which was the first to feature auto loops. Because of the touchscreen on the XDJ 1000, you had the best of both worlds, which was having hot cues and auto loops. The touchscreen, along with all of its features, would later be applied to the current flagship model, which is the CDJ 2000 Nexus 2, which was introduced in January of 2016. Now, later that same year, the XDJ 1000 gets an update. In August of that year, Pioneer introduced the XDJ 1000 Mark II, which we have over here. And it includes updates that help it keep up with the current flagship CDJ 2000 Nexus 2. Visually, you can identify the Mark II by the silver ring around the jog wheel, and it also has a silver ring around all 4 feet. And it does have a few more dedicated buttons that were either added or lifted off touchscreen functions from the previous model. The amount of hotkeys was actually upgraded from 3 to a total of 8, which are separated by 2 banks, so you can use up to 4 at a time. Just like on the CDJ 2000 Nexus 2, except it's on the touchscreen. Along with the standard audio file types, you can now also play FLAC and ALAC lossless formats. Is it ALAC? ALAC? Well, it's Apple lossless format. A cool new feature you can do is you can take the DDJ SP1 controller and plug it to the USB-A port on one of the XDJ 1000 Mark IIs, and you can perform and control specific parameters like loops and hot cues on up to 4 XDJ 1000 Mark IIs that are connected via the Pro DJ link. The Mark II removed the output for the fader start function and instead now has the digital audio output. The XDJ 1000 Mark II is often paired with the DJM 750 Mark II. Since the 750 Mark II doesn't have fader start, that actually makes sense. However, this mixer doesn't have digital inputs either. So if you want to use the digital output of the XDJ, you're going to have to look into the premium model mixers like the DJM 900 Nexus 2. Two Nexus 2 features that were added on the 1000 Mark II were these two buttons right here, which is track filter and shortcut. Track filter allows me to filter a playlist based on specific search parameters. I love mixing in keys, so this really helps me with my workflow. Using the track filter and the QWERTY keyboard combined makes searching for music a lot easier when you have really large playlists. The shortcut button allows you to adjust multiple settings quickly, minimizing the time it takes to dive into multiple menus. I normally like to have my hotkeys on auto load and my quantize to be on a quarter beat, and let's save this. One thing I found difficult on the previous model, on the XDJ 1000, was the fact that the time mode auto cue button was actually in one of the menu views, and I didn't know how to engage my auto cue. This happened to me at the 515 Alive Music Festival, where I was using my friend's 2 XDJ 1000s. I was a bit unfamiliar with the players at the time, so I didn't know where to find the controls for this specific parameter. Well, just like on the CDJs, they brought this control back as a dedicated button, along with a dedicated quantize button. This actually helps the touchscreen to be less cluttered and leaves more room for performance type functions that you'll be using more often. With dedicated buttons, it's quicker to access while still maintaining the minimalistic aesthetic of the XDJ. Because it is a mid-level player, the reverse function is actually a button instead of the paddle like it is on the flagship model. And the touch release controls is actually consolidated as one knob versus having 2 independent knobs, which controls the wind-up and the braking speeds. Unlike the previous model, the XDJ 1000 Mark II can run off Rekordbox in export mode. This means instead of having a software centralized system like using Rekordbox in performance mode, you can configure Rekordbox so that your computer is only a library management tool as well as a music source, while all the drive lifting is done by the XDJ's actual hardware. The way to think about it is that your computer essentially is like the thumb drive when you plug it in. And what's cool with the export mode is you can have up to 4 XDJ 1000 Mark IIs connected via the Pro DJ link, but you can plug your computer into one of the XDJ 1000 Mark IIs using the USB port on the back. I believe the way to do it before was that your computer had to be connected via Ethernet. And we all know laptops today don't have an Ethernet port. But if you prefer using Rekordbox in performance mode instead, the XDJ 1000 Mark IIs are capable of HID mode, which gives you CDJ style control of your DJ software from your computer. So what about the other DJ software out there like Serato DJ or Traktor Pro 3? Well, for a while, the XDJ 1000 Mark II wasn't supported by any other software outside of Pioneer's Rekordbox. But during the recent Winter NAMM show back in January, Native Instruments released a version that allows HID mode support with the XDJ 1000 Mark II. So HID mode is possible with not only Rekordbox, but also Traktor Pro 3. Unfortunately for Serato users, Serato never supported the player. So if you're looking for a media player that's not the CDJ 2000 Nexus 2, that's supported by Serato DJ in HID mode, I would consider looking into the CDJ 900 Nexus or looking for a pre-owned pair of the previous model, the XDJ 1000. The original XDJ 1000 is supported by all three major DJ software. So one of the things that you see on the flagship models is this thing called the jog wheel tension control knob that's usually right there. It allows you to control how stiff or how loose the jog wheel feels. It was originally introduced on the CDJ 1000 Mark III way back in the day, and it was carried over into all the flagship models of the CDJs and is also featured on some of the full-size jog wheel controllers. Now, during that time of that old CDJ, the CDJ 1000 Mark III had the tension control knob, but the CDJ 800 Mark II did not have the knob on top of the player. What very few people knew is that old CDJ 800 Mark II did have a tension control for the jog wheel. However, in order to actually adjust it, you had to open up the player and click it to the right setting that you want. If I remember correctly, I think there was a total of 5 settings. You could go 2 clicks looser or 2 clicks stiffer. Now, I skimmed through the XDJ 1000 Mark II's manual, and I didn't see anything about tension control on this particular model. However, I did see a video on YouTube where somebody opened up the previous model, the XDJ 1000, and there was internally a tension control for the jog wheel. I'm willing to bet, because of how similar they are in design, that the Mark II is no different. And if you're down to actually explore this with me, let me know in the comments and we'll open this up and actually take a look. I saw Mojax's review on the Mark II and he said there is no tension control, which made me wonder about the possibility if it can be internally adjusted, since previous non-flagship CDJs did have this feature. All right, if you have any comments, questions, or anything to add about the XDJ 1000 Mark II media player from Pioneer DJ, please leave them in the comment section below. Would love to hear your thoughts, answer any questions, or learn anything new that I haven't covered in this video today. Make sure to add me on Instagram as well. And if you like this video, please smash that like button. And if it's your first time here and you found this video useful, please click that subscribe button and don't forget to click that little bell icon so you get a notification the next time I upload a video. All right, folks, thanks for watching. Take care and stay healthy.